Hello, guys, and welcome to my Cincinnati Bengals 7 round mock draft. They obviously only have 6 picks, though. I think this is a team that could definitely trade back unless there's like an undeniable talent, that they really, really want at 17. It's just kind of that later, early, a little bit after mid in the first, and sometimes you don't have the value that you want, and it makes it a dicey pick. Obviously, every pick can be dicey in its own way, but there are just some guys that are easy to grab rather than, not earlier in the round. But looking at Cincinnati Bengals, the other interesting thing is do we know whether Trey Hendrickson is going to be there? And he said he could hold out. That really makes me think that he might not be there. When a player says that, it's a lot, it's kind of the, especially in the off season like this, to me, it's one of the more bona fide signals that this guy won't be on the team. There's certain other guys in the league that you thought would, get traded or released. Speaking of Jaire Alexander of the, my Green Bay Packers, but he hasn't said that he wants to leave. And, Gutekunst, even reiterated that it's a possibility for him to come back. And the Bengals brass are really up against the wall with this. They really do need to pay Trey Hendrickson, though, because if they lose him, if they don't get substantial for it, or they don't have a solid replacement, this defense is going to get steamrolled, every game, because he was the one bright spot they had last year. But without further ado, we're going to go into the draft. We got Malachi Starks available here, Mike Green. I have seen that, sometimes, we see Malachi go to the Bengals. They have Jordan Battle and then Geno Stone. Obviously, Geno Stone, I think, easily safe. I think the defensive scheme did affect a lot of the players' ability last year, and that's why they fired the D coordinator. Jordan Battle, though, as your second guy, starting guy, I don't see it. It isn't really a position of need, per se. But it is something to me where it's like the DB room was suspect last year. And it's the weaker part of the defense, in my opinion. I think their D-line, B.J. Hill, Jenkins, Hendrickson. Who was the opposite? Joseph Asai, I think, is still solid and very young. That they brought back, that they re-signed before free agency. Logan Wilson, DJ Turner's fine. I think you look at you look at this and it's like you'd think Dax Hill, to me, I would feel like Dax Hill would progress a little bit better. Cam Taylor-Britt is so up and down. DJ Turner, jury's still out on him a little bit, being young, obviously, and corner's tough to play. But it's like this, Jordan Battle looks like easily the weakest link. I'm going to have him take Malachi Starks because I think he can overall help them on, a lot of different grounds. And there isn't really, to me, there isn't anybody. I mean, you could go James Pierce or Ezeraku, or Mike Green. I'm suspect of Mike Green mainly because of the talent he played against. That's the only reason I think that, he does show that he's worthy, type of thing of being a first rounder, based on play. But the talent you play against definitely matters in college. But we're going to go Malachi Starks here. It's not a need, but he's the highest ranked, and he looks like a guy that, this is a team that, yeah, they should go for this guy. Now, getting into the second round, We have, you know what? I'm just going to go and I'm going to say it. They draft Princely right here. He's been kind of one of those guys to me that somehow keeps falling around this kind of level in my last few, and I'm very high on him, and I would love to see, one of these teams that needs a pass rusher go him and him be an instant starter. There's the potential that he's not if, the Bengals brass is kind of like, well, we re-signed Osai to start or something, even though they're not paying him a ton. But getting on to the third round with 4 picks remaining, I am going to look for O-line. The O-line, I don't even feel like we need to really look, at their O-line. Amarius Mims, Cody Ford, Ted Karras, Cordell Volson. Orlando Brown to me is probably the only one that I'm like, we keep this guy. And then maybe Amarius Mims because he was your first round draft pick last year. But I'm still going to go and grab a tackle just so that people know, that the people on the team know that, hey, we need better protection. And we're going to go Trapillo. A guy with, very good length and size and that sort of thing, not as strong. So could he move into the middle and be more of a very, very solid guard? I can definitely see it. He obviously has never played there except for these 3 snaps, But otherwise, I think a guy with this length, I think that, he's got a good size. He's just not as strong as you would want for a guy who's 6'8". But we're going to go ahead and draft him here as a kind of guy that, hey, maybe we bring this guy in. We put a fire under some of our O-linemen's, and we go and we, show that, the blocking hasn't been acceptable for Burrow, and I just feel sorry for him almost every time he's getting just beat up every game, and it's gotta end. The guy's approaching 30. He's going to be about as mobile as Kirk Cousins at the rate he's getting hit, which is ridiculous. Yes, I know he ran that very long run last year, and you'd think, oh, this is a Josh Allen thing, but hey, he's a guy with a lot of heart, and I just pray for the success of Burrow, to be honest, because he is such a talent, and he's on that journey right now where he may or may not even be a guy to win a Super Bowl, I guess, is what I wanted to say. I just don't want to say it. I don't want to speak that into existence. Brendan Crenshaw Dixon, I'm thinking here, because he also has, very high, very good length, that sort of thing. Didn't give up a lot of pressure, and, overall just, getting better every single year. You look at this guy and it's, he's obviously a bit older. I think that's okay for like the time frame that, and these linemen, it's like, I don't think age is as big of a factor in linemen, to be honest with you, guys that can play late into their 30s if they're good enough, type of thing. And, while he didn't have the best, gap grade, he had a very solid run pass zone and then set pass block grades year after year, and he played for a big school. Obviously without him performing consistently, but getting better over the years, I think that he's a guy we're going to double down on tackle, even though, these guys might, to be honest with you, and kind of another position to me that, there's a good chance to me that they draft a guy here, even though they've got all these guys on the roster, is running back. Chase Brown, I'm not sold. Zach Moss, I like, but he's not your workhorse sort of back. Samaje Perine's a solid pickup. They'll be able to use him if they need a receiving guy. I don't think Moss or Brown are one of those 2 guys. So I'm going to be kind of looking for, running backs, or even a linebacker with these last two picks. Looking at kind of who's available here, I'm probably looking for a linebacker, and I've been high on Kobe Kane, and that's who we're going. We're going Kobe Kane, a guy who can come in, play alongside Logan Wilson, learn from him, from a guy who's just a straight up baller. And, they can start to create their monster linebacker tandem to help with the middle of the field. Not that that was a huge like problem area last year. I think it was more like the deeps and on the outside, if I'm being real, type of thing. We're going to look for a running back in our last pick. We're going to kind of go down the list to kind of see what kind of guys we have. Not very elusive, good yards after contact for Jordan James. Obviously had a better graded year the prior year, but had way more production this last year. He's a very solid, stocky, athletic kind of guy, but we're going to look at some other ones. Here's another guy, even more incredibly stocky type of thing. Yards after contact is only 3, but he is more of a power, and he's had more consistent production, like 3,000 yards the last 2 years, very solid. Has even had some receiving yards, which I know you're not going to really draft him for, type of thing, and a good number of TDs. I think this is a team that's you get a quarterback that you think can throw for all these touchdowns, but then once that's gone, it reminds me of Sam Darnold, the last 2 games of the year on the Vikings. They were trying to throw it in the end zone every single time and not run it. And as soon as that's gone, it really kills your team's momentum and your ability to win games. So, thinking about that, Taj Brooks looks like he could be a huge sort of help for their team. Ollie Gordon, I'm not going to lie, big, tall, I like that. But I think, a guy like this is too big. I think that he had a crazy year 2 years ago. This had to have been probably one of the top ones, and even good receiving. So it's really interesting. Ollie Gordon might be kind of a sleeper pick in this draft. I don't think he's the Bengals guy. LaQuint Allen, I thought I read that wrong. I thought I saw 26, and I was like, man, this would be an old rookie. But this guy also, not good after contact, honestly, with this size. He's very lean, a kind of blazer. I don't think he's your guy. Jaquindon Jackson, like the name. Best year, though, I guess, graded-wise, was 2022. Had more production these last 2. And had yards after contact is not bad, elusive rating type of thing. But it's I don't know if you're looking for a guy like this, to be honest with you. So kind of I'm not going to go down anymore just because it's going to be kind of a reach anyway. Here, I'm actually thinking Taj Brooks. I'm thinking Taj Brooks for this team, 5'10", 230, maybe a very maybe not. I'm actually kind of second guessing it a little bit. Maybe we do go with Jordan James, a guy who, did have good production, a little bit of receiving type of thing. Now I'm second guessing myself, you guys. Goodness, give me a second here. Taj Brooks just looks enticing. I do think Ollie Gordon is kind of a sleeper, not a very good elusive rating. A lot of these guys are power guys at the end here. Jaquindon, XQB. We didn't look at these guys further down, to be honest with you. And it's kind of I think we are going to go Taj Brooks, and that's going to do it for this draft. I don't know very many of the of the later picks, I think to me, if you look at if you're looking at the Bengals, it's kind of one of those situations that I honestly think that, like, maybe you trade out of round one. And here's my personal opinion. Here's what I think you do. You trade to late round two, and then you guarantee like depending on, I guess, on who you trade with, obviously, but like you could trade, to late round two, and then you could have, picks. You could have picks in numerous picks in round three. And I think, one of the running backs I'm high on is Devin Neal. And I feel like he would be that kind of gritty, tenacity kind of guy, like a Mixon who they missed last year and could be your workhorse back. Obviously, with these end of the draft running backs type of thing, it's gonna be a thing where what kind of production can we expect? And it's not like they need to be a crazy workhorse back that is instantly contributing and carrying this team with a guy like Burrow on the team, but you want to be able to have a threat there. So maybe you can run a little bit more play action bootleg, get Burrow to the pocket, protect him a little bit more. Because it's like with the current running back situation, I just don't think, and the current line situation, I just don't think that you can do that sort of thing, but tell me what you guys think. Tell me whether you think two tackles is silly in a row. I can definitely see how people would think that was silly, but you get two big bodied guys, plug them in at guard. Maybe in the future you'll move them back to tackle type of thing, because like your tackles right now, I can understand why you're going to keep those. But like your interior of your O-line is shot as far as I'm concerned in Cincinnati. And it's like even your, young right tackle, he may need replacing. And, it's not a good thing to wait when you're considering it's protecting your franchise QB, which, next to having a QB is like the next most important thing for almost every single team. And then a pass rush, 1, 2, and 3 to make a team work. QB, his protection, and then an edge rush, as far as I'm concerned, in today's NFL. But if you guys made it to the end, I want to thank you all for watching. And as always, go Pack Go.